It is NFL schedule release day, and coming up on Philadelphia Eagles Now, we're going to take a look at the Eagles 2022 schedule game by game and take a look at some of the premier matchups. But before we get started, I want you to get into the comment section right now and predict the Eagles record for me. And remember, 17-game, 18-week schedule. Make sure you get those predictions in. And with that, let's take a look at the schedule right now. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming your way on today's show, the Eagles schedule has been leaked. So if there are any changes all throughout the day, we'll update you on some of those schedule changes later on. But it looks as though this is the official 2022 schedule for the Birds. We're going to run through it game by game, then primarily look through some of these really intriguing matchups on the Eagles schedule here for this upcoming season. So they start the campaign week 1 on the road against the Detroit Lions. Last year, they dump trucked the Lions. Week 2, it's that game against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. That game was leaked earlier this week. Week 3 against the Washington Commanders, we'll get a look at Carson Wentz in a Washington uniform. Week 4 against the Jacksonville Jaguars at Lincoln Financial Field. Week 5 on the road against the Arizona Cardinals, a team that has really been picking up steam the last couple of years under Kyler Murray. Week 6, first matchup against the Dallas Cowboys in the friendly confines of the Lincoln, South Philadelphia. Week 7, the bye week. Ideally, you'd like it a couple weeks later, but right before the midway point of the season, the Eagles going to have some time to take a little bit of a breather. Week 8, the interstate rivalry between the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see which quarterback is starting for Pittsburgh. We move forward weeks 9 through 12. Houston Texans on the road on Thursday Night Football. Week 10 against the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. So already a couple of primetime matchups for the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Week 11 on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. Week 12 at home against Aaron Rodgers, the defending MVP, and the Green Bay Packers. Then weeks 13 through 15 against the Tennessee Titans at the Link. On the road against the New York Giants. Week 15 on the road against Justin Fields and the Bears. Week 16, the latter matchup against the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Week 17 against the New Orleans Saints, and the Eagles round out the 2022 slate against the New York Football Giants. First year under that new regime with Joe Schoen, the general manager, and Brian Daboll as the head coach. This is why you subscribe to the channel, because the Eagles schedule was leaked, and we're pushing out a video moments after that the schedule was made official. Joey Shakes would never, and we're trying to get to 30,000 subs right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. It's a monster milestone. If you want videos every single day on your Birds, just hit that red subscribe button. And if you're watching right now and you're like, I really like this content, why should I subscribe? I haven't been convinced just yet. Daily Eagles coverage. We're not behind a paywall like The Athletic. Everything that we do is 100% free. News, rumors, breaking news faster than anybody else. And our draft coverage and free agency coverage, certainly top notch. So fly, Eagles, fly, and hit that John, a.k.a. that red subscribe button down below. I'm from Westchester, so I can say that as I went to Temple. So let's now look at some of these primary matchups and some of the more intriguing games on the Eagles schedule. And of this first quarter, you look at this game against the Washington Commanders. I think Washington is a pretty solid football team. I like the Eagles, they've built along that defensive line. Obviously, this is a marquee matchup because they traded for Carson Wentz. Now, it's going to be awesome when Wentz returns to South Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, because he is going to be showered with boos. But he's also going to be showered with boos at FedEx Field, because the Eagles fan base always takes over the Washington fan base, even when that game is in Maryland. So this is one of a few really good matchups on the Eagles schedule, and it's a premier matchup because we get a first look at Carson Wentz in that Washington uniform. So with that, I ask you this. Your all too early predictions between the Birds and the fraudulent Dan Snyder-led Washington Commanders. Who you got? Type E for Eagles, type C for the Commanders. Let me know in the comment section right now. The next quarter of games, the quadrant. On the road against the Cardinals, you come back home against the Dallas Cowboys, you get that Week 7 bye, and then that interstate rivalry game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. An interesting slate of games here. It's going to be a tough road matchup against Arizona, that high-flying offense, a very big game against the Dallas Cowboys, because you have to figure that the race in the NFC East is going to be between Philadelphia and Dallas and really everybody else, and it's always an entertaining matchup when you have that Pennsylvania rivalry game between the Birds and the Steelers. A couple years ago, Chase Claypool went off at Heinz Field. We'll see if the Eagles can exact some revenge. If you want to bet on any of these games, if you want to bet on some NFC East futures, make sure you do so with our sportsbook partner BetUS. Just enter that link at the bottom of your screen, chatsports.com/EaglesBet, and the promo code to my right, Eagles125 for a 125% deposit bonus. Let's say that you deposit $100 into your account using that link and that promo code. Automatically upon sign up, you get $125 back. Speaking of those NFC East odds, Cowboys even to win the division this year. Philadelphia Eagles in second place at plus 225, followed by the Washington Commanders at plus 450 and the New York Giants at plus 650. Honestly, some pretty good value on the Birds if you think that they can win this division. I believe they can, working off the momentum from last year, but also all of the splash moves that Howie Roseman has made this offseason. Weeks 9 through 12 here. This is a pretty difficult schedule because you have to go on the road against the Texans on Thursday Night Football on somewhat of a short week, right? It's always a little bit of an odd week when you have to travel and play on Thursday night. Carson Wentz making his much anticipated return to the Link in Week 10 on Monday Night Football, so a couple of back-to-back primetime matchups here. On the road against the Colts and Frank Reich, not an easy matchup either because you have to figure they're going to be a better team with Matt Ryan, and that roster is certainly loaded. Then Week 12 against the Green Bay Packers. If we're sitting here right now in May and we're talking about the Eagles making a run at the playoffs, going up against the Green Bay Packers could decide some playoff positioning, playoff seeding, and just outright making it into the big dance because the Green Bay Packers are going to be a good team. I think they had the worst receiving core in the National Football League, but it's Aaron Rodgers, right? So this is going to be a huge matchup. Anytime the Eagles and the Packers meet up, it always figures to be a really big game. This one, Week 12, is certainly going to be that. 13 through 15 here. You play the Titans at home, then you go on the road against the Giants, on the road against the Bears. The Giants are a pretty fascinating team here because they're under new leadership with Shane and Brian Dable. Can Dable do what he did with Josh Allen and develop Daniel Jones? If that's the case, it's not like the Giants have a terrible roster, and the same can be said for the Chicago Bears. New coach, new general manager, a young upstart quarterback in Justin Fields who has a lot of dynamic ability. Those two latter matchups, on the road against the Giants, at the Bears. Also, let's throw the Titans into that equation as well. You cannot sleepwalk through these games because if you do, that could decide playoff positioning, playoff seeding, and maybe your hopes at making it into the NFL playoffs. In the division, the rivalry games are fantastic, whether it's against the Cowboys, against the Commanders, or the New York Giants. But I want to test you because I want to ask you which team you hate the most. DAL for the Cowboys, WAS for the Commanders, NYG for the Giants. Now, a lot of people my age, the rivalry has been more relevant against the Giants, but the Cowboys are the Cowboys. So the slight edge for me is Dallas, followed by the Giants, but it's very, very close, honestly, because we've seen some fascinating games come down to the wire between the G-Men and the Birds, and then the Commanders, they're always fraudulent. They're in last place there, but let me know which team you hate the most down in the comment section. We round out the Eagles' schedule with 3 more games here. It's going to be a massive matchup against the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium, especially this late in the year. I think the Eagles are going to be good. I think the Cowboys are going to be good. So once again, this could factor into the winner of the NFC East. The Saints are a pretty solid team too. Now, can Jameis Winston play good football? Can he stay healthy coming off that torn ACL? I have some questions about him. There's no doubt about it, but the rest of the roster is really, really good. And then anytime the Eagles and the Giants meet up, especially late in the season, things can get weird, even if one team is out of playoff contention. So that right there is the Eagles' 2022 schedule. This was the leak. If there are any changes, then we'll push out a video later on today when the schedule is officially announced at around 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. So predict the Eagles record before we hop on out of here. I want your best guesses. I want your boldest predictions in the comment section. Appreciate all of you for watching the show, and make sure you hit that red subscribe button. What up, Joey Shakes?